Yeah, everything comes better in twos. We are coming on live to inspire you with years of training and experience. Be strong, work hard with diligence. Sit back, relax, let's have a great time and listen to the information we're about to unwind. Get up, get out, and always strive. Dr. MV speaks strong women, strong lives. Yeah.
Welcome to the No Single Mom Left Behind TV talk show, people, where I am your host, Dr. Michele Vaughn, and my lovely co-host,
Dr. Stallworth.
Hello, people. We missed you. It's been since last month?
Yeah.
Since last month, and we miss you. We miss you. Our last guest, we had our first male guest, Mr. Speaker Mac McGee, all the way from Chicago, making a positive change in our fatherless sons' lives. I mean, he's doing big things, people. Yep. What do you think about his appearance on our show? Was it worth it?
I think he was really coming from a different perspective
right.
that we never had before, but it was valid.
It was valid. It was because there's a lot of single fatherless sons that are walking around, and all he is challenging men to do is get off the sidelines.
Yes.
He has a boot camp going on right now in the city of Chicago that's free for young teenage boys who want to come and be a part of something positive, people. So we want to let's give it up for Mr. Mac McGee. Thank you. Okay. But today, somebody say today. We have an audience. Today, we have another guest, people, Miss Sharon Epps. And I'm not, listen, when I first heard Sharon, I was done. I'm not going to even tell you what it is, because she's going to let you know what's... Sharon Epps is gracing us today, people, and she has a wonderful, powerful testimony, and we cannot wait for her to share her testimony. So today's topic is change isn't easy, but it's worth it. Ooh, change isn't easy, but it's worth it. And so I don't know if you can see this. I don't know, Cameron Lake, if you can zoom in on this. But we have a lot of change on the table. We had a lot of change. We got pennies, dimes, nickels, etc., quarters.
Coin.
A lot of change. And what I find is that, Dr. Stallworth, if I may, engage you a little bit, is that people resist change. They throw change away, right? Not realizing that if you continue to collect change and embrace change, it adds up. It's worth something. What? You mean to tell me that the pennies and the dimes and the nickels and the quarters, if I continue to collect change, it's worth something in my life, that it's going to pay off in the end? What? Yes. But guess what? I'm getting happy from my own. But guess what we do? Because we're afraid of change, and it's not appealing, right? We resist it, right? We throw it in a jar. We resist change, right? We resist the penny, not realizing that it still adds up. It's still worth something, right? And so we resist change in our lives. And I just kind of want to open the show just a little bit, because you're really going to hear a lot from our guests regarding change and how it pays off when you stick with it. I want to talk a little bit about change. And I did my research, because I believe we have to be women who research, right? It's not just my opinion. You know, what are other people saying about change?
Doctor.
Okay, not a physician really, but so education. So let's talk about change. So a couple of things about change is that, people do not want to fail. They don't want to fail. If I envision this dream for myself, right? Am I going to fail in the process? You absolutely are. And you should be happy about it. Why? Flip the script, because you're not failing at something that's not going to benefit you. If you want to go back to school, single mom, you're failing forward. So you may have to start at the basic level and take those basic classes. You may fail that basic math class, but that doesn't mean that you're a loser. It means that you're failing forward. Re-enroll, get back up, and move forward in your life, because you're doing something that no one has shown you the blueprint. So you're failing up and you're failing forward. All right. So another thing is that People are afraid of what they've never done before.
Yes.
You know, my mama didn't go to school, my daddy didn't do it, no one, you want to write a book, no one ever showed me how to, I don't know, what's a publisher?
Yep.
Listen, we live in a world that has many resources.
Yes.
Do we not? We have the internet. We have so many resources that are available to you. And all you have to do is plan your growth. Not plan your goals, plan your growth. Do you have a growth plan? Meaning this, what is a growth plan? If I want to go back to school, you have to sit down with yourself, make an appointment in your phone with yourself, okay? I'm going to have a meeting with myself once a month. And I'm going to meet with myself and I'm going to ask myself, okay, Michelle, how am I growing this month? In this area in my life where I'm weak, right? What am I reading more books about it? Did I seek out for a mentor? You see what I'm saying? Did I change my circle of influence? So who's going to challenge me? What is my growth plan? Because the more you invest in your growth, the more effective you will be when you reach your goal.
Yes.
All right. So another thing about change, people do not believe that they are worth what they envision for their lives. You don't think, am I really worth it? Did I get you? Yeah.
It's a question you gotta ask.
Am I really worth it? Does this penny have value? Yes, it does. The color is different, right? Because it's meant to be different. But it's worth something. So you have to begin, your self-image is connected to your attitude. And your attitude is connected to your aptitude. And your altitude is connected to the success that you desire for your life. So you have to get away from the cracked mirror image, mirror on the wall, okay? Stop letting people put things in your mind about your worth, your image, and you start developing a self-respect for yourself. Speak life to yourself. And then your image will begin to shift. Stop doubting yourself. Stop isolating yourself and trying to shy away from change. Yes. You are worth it, lady. Your kids are looking up to you. They know that there's a hero inside of you. But you're going to have to believe it for yourself. And then in return, guess what you're going to do? You're going to see the fruit of your effort, not only by the outcomes in your life, but you're going to begin to see it in the outcomes of your kids' lives. Yes. Even if you're doing it alone, they respect the fact that you are addressing change for the better. Single mom, you are not left behind. Change adds up, and it is worth something, and you have to believe that you are worth the change and you are valuable enough to pursue and accomplish all that you want to do. Listen, people, that's the opening, okay? So we're about to transition. We do not want you to leave us because we're going to a quick commercial break, okay? And when we come back, I'm telling you, we're going to have a guest that's going to blow your mind.
Yes.
I mean, she's just going to blow, because she blew my mind within 5.2 seconds of her speaking.
Right.
So, Miss Sharon Epps is going to join us. If you have any questions while we're live right now, we have our email up. Please email teenandsinglemom.tsmrc@gmail.com. Be back soon. Welcome back to the No Single Mom Left Behind TV talk show, where I'm your host, Dr. Michele Vaughn, and my lovely co-host,
Dr. Stallworth.
People, we have a wonderful guest with us today, Miss Sharon Epps. Can we give it up for Miss Sharon Epps?
Yay!
Miss Sharon Epps is a wonderful guest. She's an author. She's a speaker. She is a single mother, and she is a wonderful grandmother. And she is an author of the book, My Cup Ain't Empty. Ain't. Okay, my cup ain't empty. So Miss Sharon Epps, welcome to our show. We are happy to have you here. Yes. So why don't we just start by just telling the viewers a little bit about yourself, your background as a single mom. Just whatever you want to share with our single mom viewers.
What I might want to share, what I need to share.
Come on.
But what I need to share is I'm still a single mom.
Yes.
I've been a single mom all my life.
Okay.
I have 3 wonderful children, 41, 26, and 24.
Wow.
And my life hasn't always been this wonderful.
Oh, come on.
I went through.
Yeah.
I went through all the struggles. I went through low-income housing.
Mm.
I went through welfare. I went through a drug addiction. I went through struggles with trying to have a good relationship. I've been through the ups and I've been through the downs and I've been in the valley.
Wow.
But through it all, God brought me out.
Wow.
And what really changed my life at the lowest point, through a 20-year drug addiction, I had 2 little girls looking at me.
Wow.
And I had a 20-year-old son, a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. And the girls were looking at me. And I heard my daughter say one time, somebody knocked on the door and she said, "Ain't nothing happening." And I was role modeling to teach her to be a drug dealer.
Wow.
I was teaching, that's what I was teaching, and realization through my drunken, drug addictive slumber, it hit me. I gotta do better. My mother and father didn't emulate this for me, and how did I get to this place and I'm emulating this for my daughter? And they were the catalyst that made me want to do better, that made me go to treatment, that made me change my life. My children made me change my life.
Wow, my children made me change my lives, because that was my next question, was how did you embrace change as a single mom? Because you just mentioned you were pretty much teaching your kids without really teaching them, because they were watching you.
They were watching me. They were watching me. When my daughter said, "Ain't nothing happening," that was my line. Ain't nothing happening. Somebody knocking on the door, ain't nothing happening.
Ain't nothing happening.
And she said exactly what I said. And she said it the same way I said it. Ain't nothing happening. And she was 4 years old.
Wow.
And I heard her.
How did that make you feel? The feeling, the emotions when she...
It caught my attention. Woke me up out of a drunken high slumber. I'm like, this child here. And I realized this is what I was teaching them. I was teaching them to be just like me.
Wow.
And I didn't like who I was. That's why I was at where I was at, because I didn't like who I was. But I was caught up in the grips of an addiction, and and I was an alcoholic, and I was a drug addict, and I was caught up in the grips. I sold drugs so I could use drugs.
Wow.
And that's why that was my cycle.
Yeah.
So I could continue to be this drug addict, and I didn't know how to prostitute, and I didn't know how to go into resale stores and steal. I've always had a brilliant mind.
Yeah.
And so I just did what I was taught. My son's father was a drug dealer, and I learned from him. I learned how to weigh up, bag up, cook up, and I knew his suppliers, so I knew where to go to buy. And so when he left out of my life, I just used all the skills that I had got from him.
Wow.
And I ran with it.
Wow.
Because I fell in love with drugs. You get a man in your life, and then sometimes they can consume you. And you become them.
Come on.
And you're doing everything that they want, and all your dreams and hopes and stuff are on the back burner. They go astray.
Lost yourself.
lost dreams, lost person.
Wow.
The drugs consumed, I fell in love with the drugs. He was there and he had the drugs, but I fell in love with the drugs.
So, wow. So as a single mom, how, you know, because we're talking to single moms and some mothers may relate to your story. You mentioned that you went to treatment. You said you have a brilliant mind, and no doubt you do, but how did you really come out of the grips, you said the grips of not wanting to do it no more?
That wasn't the fact that I didn't want to do it. I had stopped wanting to do it a whole maybe 15 years while doing it.
Oh, that's...
I just didn't know how to stop.
Wow.
You know, you don't, it subliminally caught me.
Yeah.
And I don't know when I became a drug addict.
Wow.
I just looked up and I was. And I don't know how I became a drug addict. But I was. So all these times I said, oh, I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
But I kept using. I'm going to stop. Every time I said I would, I didn't. And I found myself, and I couldn't. I'd break the pipes and do this and throw the stuff away. Then I find myself in the garbage, getting the stuff, putting it back together, and I'm right back in this vicious cycle.
Wow.
And I would see on the TV, they used to have this is an old ad, I'm dating myself. I'm good. Hey, I'm a voluptuous woman now. I am a woman, I'm fully grown.
Yeah,
And they had this ad on the TV that said, this is your brain on drugs. And the egg would just fry.
Wow.
And so I saw that. I said, I need help. But you might realize you might need help, but you don't know how to go get help. African Americans back in the 90s were not going to treatment. African Americans did not know how to get help.
Wow.
They just stayed caught up in their situations.
Yeah.
African American women, help was not given to them till the epidemic of the crack babies in the hospitals, and they had all these babies, and these babies were showing signs of withdrawal, and that's when the state stepped in and said, hey, these women need help, send them to treatment.
Wow.
We did not know those options weren't available to us. We did not know that you could go and check yourself in and get some help.
Wow.
A lot of people had to be forced to go get this help. When I went to treatment, I felt like people's mom because I was a 39-year-old woman in treatment with 19, 17-year-old girls. Wow. And I looked around and I'm like, wow, how did y'all get caught up?
Wow.
How did you get caught up? Who gave you this baby? Because I'm looking at them, I'm so much older, but I had been out there so much longer. I was an old school drug addict. And so when I went to treatment, I went because I was ready. I was ready, you know. I'm caught up. I got 2 felonies. The police are kicking my doors in simultaneously. I'm getting robbed in the back of my complex building with a Tech 9 to my head. Men are trying to take drugs, you know, and I'm just caught up in this hell. And I'm like, how did I get here? The good girl, mama's oldest daughter. How did I get? But I'm here. And so I'm trying to live this life that I got.
Wow. 39. It's never too late for change.
You know, I sit down when I was 19 years old to get high. When I got to, I was 39 years old. And I tell people, I was like Rip Van Winkle, caught up. Rip Van Winkle went to sleep and he woke up 20 years later and everything had changed. And everything in my life had changed. When I woke up, there was no computers, technology, even the environment had changed. Corporations and stuff had built up. And I was like, where have I been for 20 years?
Wow.
Where have I been? There's this whole world, but the radius of my life was just this little circle. And I had to get with it.
Yeah.
I had to go back to school, you know.
Let's talk about that. Wow. Going back to school after you're waking up after 20 years and realizing technology changed, building, you know, the world is still continue to grow, and now you're waking up. Where did you find that courage on the inside to say, I can change, my mind is still brilliant? Where did you find that courage as a single mother to go back to school? Talk to
It
us.
all, when I did decide to make this change in my life, I had this wonderful son. And I lived in a 16-unit complex building.
Okay.
2 people out of that complex building did not use drugs. All the other women were single moms and they were caught up like me. We were all low income, welfare recipient, Section 8 women with babies.
Wow.
And we were all drug addicts. And we bartered and we tried to help each other the only way we knew how to help. Different people got their checks at different times of the month, and we would, I would give them credit, and they would come, and we would do stuff like that. I would help if they didn't have food. I'd give them food, and vice versa,
Yeah.
And this is how we lived. We tried to take care of each other, nurturing each other. Drug addicts will nurture each other. You ain't got no drugs here, girl. I got you. I got you till you get your check. But when you get your check, don't you spend it with him, because see, at the end of the month, he ain't gonna give you no food. The kids in our building, they knew if they needed lunch money or they were going on a field trip, they knew I was gonna give it to them. They knew I was gonna help take care of them. But I felt like, this is crazy, but in my mind, I was doing good even though I was doing bad. I still gave back. I didn't let the kids not have Christmas apples. And one Christmas, I went to the fruit stand and I had their mama's food stamps because I had took them for credit for drugs. But I bought apples and oranges and candy, and I made food bags and I get it kids. I would have pizza parties and all the little kids would come to my house and we would eat pizza, and stuff like that. And when they barbecued, I'd give them the food so they could have food so they could barbecue. And they knew that if we ain't got no bread, well, here, go get some bread, because we were all caught up. But I was still trying to help. I knew there was still good in me, and I had a sense of human decency, but I was caught up on drugs. So I'm trying to live in that situation. My son kept my girls while I went to treatment. I told him I needed his help. I needed his help, and I was going somewhere. I was telling people I had in Narcotics Anonymous, they talk about having spiritual awakening. My spirit was awakened right there at the crack house. And God had a conversation with me.
Whoa.
And I had just been robbed in the back of the complex building. I called for everybody. Nobody came to help me.
Wow.
And you have to realize, you're looking at me now, you can't see where my feet have been, but back then, almost 22 years ago, I weighed 95 pounds. And these men were trying to take these drugs from me, and it was just struggle. And I was calling for help, and nobody came. But when I felt that Tech 9, there's something about when a gun goes to your head, your hands immediately go up.
Right.
Or my hand went up like this, because this hand was full of drugs. And I was like this, and I'm praying, and I found this prayer, Lord, don't let me die. Not like this. Not for a handful of drugs. And the spiritual awakening was God said, open up your hand.
Wow.
And when I opened up my hand, everything went into slow motion. The drugs fell, and God grabbed this hand and walked me right out of that situation.
Jesus.
Oh my God. Wow. Oh.
And when I got into the apartment, I lived on the 3rd floor. I was a lady on the 3rd floor. And he said, find something you had earnestly acquired, Sharon, with your own hands. And I'm in a 2-bedroom apartment with everything, and I can't find anything. And he told me, look around. He said, everything in here is what you love. And everything in there, drugs had brought it. From the pictures on the wall, to the food in the refrigerator, to the clothes hanging up, to the toilet paper on the road, drugs had brought those things there. And the only thing I could find in that 2-bedroom apartment was my Bible and my class ring. And they were hid in the back of the closet. And those are the 2 things that I took.
Wow. Woo. Okay. Your Bible and your class ring. 22 years later, you have this book, beautiful book, published. My Cup Ain't Empty. And I have a question because first of all, I love your book, okay? You have so many poems and it's just all coming from your spirit. Why is poetry, Sharon, so important to you? How did you come about poetry? When did you realize that this was something that you can bless other people with?
I never realized I was a poet. I always wrote.
Okay.
I always wrote little things. I'm a doodler, I'm a writer, and so I had collections of my writings. And writing is a way for me to express my feelings, but I never thought I was important enough for it to share it with anybody. Only at your birthday, I would write you a nice little something on your card and give it to you. You know, I would do this for people and write little love notes that I used to call them and give them to people. This is for you, it's your birthday, you know, here's your gift, but here's this little something from me that I can give you of me. And when I got to treatment, I had a counselor and he knew everything. And I'd go to open my mouth to speak and he said, oh, I know that already. I know, no, and I'd shut up. And one day we were in treatment. And he was sitting there. I had a half-an-hour session with him. I was just looking at him. And I was a grown woman. But he was treating me like I was 5 years old. And he already had stereotyped me. And so since he knew everything, there was nothing for me to say. So I wasn't saying anything. And he says, you're not going to say anything? I said, well, you know everything. And so we did this for 3 times. And he gave me a pencil and a pad, and he said, well, since you're not going to talk to me, write down what you're thinking. And I took that pad and I went in my room, and every thought I had, I wrote something about it. And when our next session came, you know, I had this pad and it was like halfway full, and it was like, have you been writing what you're thinking? I said, of course. You know, I'm going to do what you say to do, but since you know everything about me, there's no need for me to open my mouth to talk to you. So I wrote it down, and he started reading some of my writings. He says, I didn't know you were a poet. And something in me resonated in my spirit. And I told God, I've been called crackhead, dope fiend, low-income recipient, welfare, this and this and this and this. I say, but I can be a poet, God. I can be a poet. You know, I had heard of Robert Louis Stevenson. I had heard of other poets. I have a brilliant mind. I'm an avid reader. I read, you know. I knew about Nikki Giovanni. I knew about Maya Angelou. Even in my drug addicted state of mind, I still read. You know, I still read, you know, I read Ebony magazines. I read some stuff. Even, you know, I used to take the paper and tear them out the magazines and put the drugs in them. I still read. And I said, oh God, I can be a poet. That's a name I like.
You said I can be.
I can be. I can do. He said I was a poet. I said,
that's powerful.
Okay, I can be that.
See?
I like the name. When you've been called so many other things in your life, you know, nappy head, big nose, black this, you just put down, 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 down. I'm like, a poet? Yeah, I can do that. I can be that. And I told God, I like that. I like that. I put that on my license plate, Miss Poet. You know, Miss
Poet. See, owning that new positive image. April, do you have a question for Miss Epps?
You know what I'm fascinated by? When you talked about the women in the housing complex, and just even in the midst of that degradation and just pain and suffering, women still building community.
Yeah.
Even in the midst of that, and you still taking care of other women. Why don't we do that anymore?
And on the positive.
Yeah, even in a bad situation. We were just talking about that this morning with my ladies that I coach at the transitional living facility. Why don't we build that community anymore? That's where we come from.
That's where we come from, but everybody's trying to get away from. They don't take the good, they just take the bad. And they run with it. Oh, how can I be my brother's keeper when I'm not there to keep you? I'm not there to keep you. I still go back to where I came. I see those kids who are grown and hug me. Oh, Miss Sharon used to take care of me, used to do this for me. And I didn't know that I was planting those seeds back then, but I was planting seeds. And I'm reaping the harvest, I'm reaping the harvest now.
Amen.
Wow. So I have a question. Well, not really a question. It's more, being a single mother, you have a powerful, powerful testimony where this show is all about trying to empower single moms to be the best person that they can be. What advice do you have for single mothers who are afraid of embracing new change in their lives? What advice do you have for them?
When I was in treatment, somebody asked me this question: why do African American women don't come to get help? As soon as you open your mouth and say, I need some help, you get a DCF case. You're in jeopardy of losing your housing. So if all you have is a welfare check and low-income housing, and that's being taken away from you, what else do you have? When this is all you have, and you're trying to survive. See, a lot of women and single parents are in survival mode. They're not in living mode. They're in survival mode. And so they don't open their mouths to say, hey, I need this. I told a person one time what I needed, and they laughed in my face. And I started crying, and I got angry. I was angry because I had signed a contract that I wouldn't put my hands on anybody. So now I got my hands in my pocket and I'm crying.
Sign the contract.
And, I'm crying because I'm angry. And a lot of people I had learned how to process my anger.
Okay.
They let me tear up a refrigerator box to process anger. By the time I was trying to tear that box up, I wasn't angry anymore. But this was a trick that they had taught me. You're angry. But when I say I need help, if you try to take away everything I have, and this is all I have, if all I have is a $377 welfare check and a low-income house, and I say I need help, and you say I got to go to treatment, so I got to lose my apartment, and you take my check, I don't have anything. So I'm afraid. What am I going to do? At least I got this link card and this welfare check and this low-income housing, so I'm going to maintain what I got. Even though I got a problem, I can still maintain it because I got this. I hadn't learned that faith that God said He would take care of me. I hadn't learned that. I didn't know that. I wasn't going to church. I was going to the drug dealer. I wasn't going to God to supply all of my needs. I had to get there. And a lot of single moms say they don't have. So they're trying to get there. That's why they'll move that guy in that'll give them a couple of dollars to help them out. They're trying to hold on to some stability. Well, we got link card, we got a housing, but I need this piece of it. I need this couple of dollars that he is giving me, not knowing that if they just stepped out, they can get their own couple of dollars.
If they just stepped out,
get their own
couple of dollars. Wow.
Wow.
You get your own couple of. Okay, so we cannot have Sharon Epps on this show without Sharon Epps delivering a poem.
Yeah. What you working on?
Because there's a poem in here that I have already earmarked. Here it is, Freed. Okay. Now, I don't know if you know it. Okay.
No, I don't.
Okay.
Well, let me see.
But
sometimes
I myself was in the book.
But if you can read Freed to our audience, it's so powerful. I would appreciate it. I know everyone else would.
So this poem had to be written in about 1995.
Wow.
Freed. I was caught up in my own self. I depended solely on me until my life became self-held. It took God to set me free from a world of lies and confusion. There was hurt and pain in that place, and God stepped in and saved me with His mercy and His grace. God brought me into His light. God took away my shame. God showed me a new way to live. God taught me Jesus' name. To call on when I'm troubled. To also seek when I'm in need. To follow where He leads me. And to tell of His good deeds. Yes, I was caught up in my own self. But I'm not confused today. My Heavenly Father gave me Jesus, who will not leave me astray.
Woo! Freed, people. Freed. My Cup Ain't Empty by Sharon, Epps. You mentioned before we brought you on that you're working on a new poem. And I don't know if you would like to share a little bit of what you...
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit?
Because I'm a single mom.
Come on.
And I've been single. And I need for you ladies to know I'm 60 years old.
Oh, look at
What?
that.
And I've never been married.
Come on.
And I have beautiful children. And my God does not let me go without anything that married women have. And I tell that to my married friends. I said, I have everything that you have.
Come on.
You know,
He's surprised.
I have a car. God has provided. You know, God is good.
She has
He's
a Benz.
taking care of me. No, I got a Cadillac. That's my play tour. See, I got two cars. See, I bought that for my birthday gift. God gave me that.
She has a Benz for her play toy, and she has
Gold.
a Cadillac. Single
Gold.
woman. Okay.
I have everything that my friends have. They have husbands. And they acquired their stuff with their husbands.
Come on.
Well, I got a God.
Come on.
And He loves me the same. And I told Him, do not let me not have what these married women have. If they've got to meet God, I want to meet. If they've got nice clothes, God, I want nice clothes. You said you would provide for me, so I'm trusting Him. But I wrote this poem because I'm single, and it says, if singleness is my walk, God, let me do it now with grace and keep these good-looking, lustful men really out of my face.
Bye-bye.
Wow! Keep these good-looking, lustful men out of my face. Wow, people. This is Sharon Epps, everyone. I know you have been blessed by this. April.
Yes, this is amazing.
Isn't it rich? Isn't it rich? So we have to bring you back on the show. We really enjoyed you being a part of our show today.
Thank you.
We're so honored to have you here.
Thank you.
Yes, and we're going to bring you back. We're going to continue on, everyone. We're going to the final segue of our show, and when we come back, we're going to have a closing topic with Miss April Stallworth on surrender. Everyone, Miss Sharon Epps. Let's give it up.
Yay!
Be back soon. Don't go away.
Welcome back to the No Single Mom Left Behind radio online TV talk show. We just got finished talking to Sharon Epps. Wow. And when I tell you that was an amazing interview, testimony, just kicking it and just encouraging, inspiring. Her story is so rich and deep, and just the main thing I got out of that was just, if God can do it for her.
What's your excuse?
Right?
Yeah. What's your excuse?
What are you waiting for?
Yeah.
What has you gripped?
Mm.
What is the Tech 9 at your head?
Wow.
It was literally a Tech 9 at her head. Mm-hmm. But what is yours? What's holding you up? What or you find yourself in the midst of just struggling with. Because hers is a story of just redemption and grace, and it's available for us all.
Absolutely.
It just really is. So I'm just, I'm really filled up with what she just shared with us, and then the poetry. Free, she said. What did you get?
She said, God, give me everything that a married woman has. If she has a fur, I want a fur. She says she has a Benz just for a play toy. I was tickled. She has a cat. I mean, I'm just saying, not that things mean a lot, but she's a single woman, a single mother, and God is her provider, and she literally take him at face value, and he honors that.
Right.
Clearly.
Right.
So, I mean, it for me, it's encouraging.
Yes.
It's encouraging,
Yes.
and I ditto that and everything she has said. So.
Yes, it was just amazing. And just from your introduction regarding change, her testimony of change, we just want to close it out
What are we going to do?
with talking about surrendering.
Wow.
You got to surrender in order to be able to change.
Surrender.
You have to be surrendered. Now, the textbook definition of surrender means to yield something to the possession or power of another. Deliver up possession on demand or under duress, like surrendering the fort to the enemy, or giving oneself up like you do to the police, which we can't even go down that road these days. Just to give oneself up to some influence, course, emotion. He surrendered himself. She surrendered herself. That's kind of the textbook definition of surrendering. You think of waving a white flag, you know, when in war, when you're giving up to the enemy. But then when we think about surrendering from a spiritual perspective, there's a couple areas where I think surrender just totally just rounds out the whole thing. So, when I surrender spiritually, I am following God's lead without knowing where He's sending you. You don't know. Trust. Faith. Just following, but you're not sure where He's taking you. Waiting for God's timing without knowing when it'll come.
Well, I want to interject with your surrender.
Go ahead.
How did you get there? How did you get to the total trust factor, blindfold, let me just trust you? How does that happen?
It's a daily process.
Okay.
You don't just surrender once and we all good. I'm just going to follow. No, we hard-headed. We like to do it our own way. So daily, so in the beginning, hourly, you just have to keep surrendering yourself unto God. And what brought me to the place of surrender was my way wasn't working. Sick and tired of being sick and tired. It's not working, April. So at that point, I don't have nothing to lose. Let me give it to God. Let me try His way. It can't be no worse than this.
Right.
So that's how I got there. And then it's a daily affirmation, daily process of just keep surrendering, because I like to get in stuff. I like to make things happen. I like to show, no, I'm gonna do it. Sit down.
Have a seat.
Have a seat. Matter of fact, take several seats. Several seats. So, expecting a miracle without knowing how God will provide it.
Ooh, I can run around this whole table 7 times.
Expectation.
Wow.
Following, waiting, expectation. And then trusting God's purpose without understanding the circumstance.
Wow.
That's key.
Wow.
We go through stuff. Stuff happens. We don't understand it. But we have to trust God's purpose without understanding the circumstance. So it's the 4. Following, waiting, expecting, trusting.
Wow.
That's the spiritual definition of surrendering.
Okay.
We can surrender everything. Finances, relationships, your marriage, your worship, your attitude, your lifestyle, your purpose. Everything about us can be surrendered if we're willing to do it.
If we're willing to do it.
Are you willing to surrender your timetables, your plan for your life, all of what you think should be happening, and give it to God? And when He gives it back, it's going to give you a double for your trouble. It's going to be so clear and give you such focus and such purpose and such fulfillment. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to be, you know, God's not your genie in a bottle. That's not how he works. He's not your Santa Claus. But he will walk you with you throughout your life. And all of a sudden, all things just start working together for good. And you can see his hands in every aspect of your life that you're willing to surrender to him. What are signs you're not surrendering?
Okay.
Worry,
Yeah.
anxious, frustrated. You feel out of control. You're trying to force your agenda and manipulate others to get the answers that you want. You keep turning over, but then you keep taking it back.
Yeah.
Those are signs you're not fully surrendered. So when you start feeling that way, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Go sit down and have a conversation with yourself and with God and ask him to show you areas of your life that you're not surrendering and get your hands off of it. And you may have to do that 20 times a day. That's okay. God's patient. He'll wait for you. How can I actually do it? Like I said, get somewhere and sit down. Say a daily prayer of surrender.
Okay.
Affirmations. Stop being so dramatic. I'm drama. I can be. A little bit. At times. Stop it. Pick your battles. Some stuff just doesn't matter. But we get so caught up in it. Ask for help. Sharon talked about that.
She did.
Women, especially, we have a hard time asking for help. But we need to ask for help. Trusted confidants. Go to your church. Go to the agencies that are there to help you. Teen Single Mother Resource Center. Ask for some help. Discuss your emotions with a trusted friend. You got to get that stuff out before you let it guide your decisions and what you're doing. Practice a life of gratitude.
Yeah. Practice.
Practice a life of gratitude because it can always be worst. And I talked to the ladies that I coach at the transitional living facility. I said, you can practice life of gratitude. I know you're homeless, but you know what? Somebody's living in their car tonight. You're not.
Right.
You have a roof over your head. Your children are with you. You have food. You have people who care about you.
Yeah.
It can always be worse. Practice gratitude. Good self-care, getting a big picture for your life, and increasing your intimacy with God.
Yeah.
Spend some time with him. Walk with him. Talk with him. Those are ways you can surrender. But you have to get into a position where you're willing to be vulnerable, you're willing to practice some humility, you're willing to let God take charge of your life. You know, we're quick to say, you know, God's will be done. Really? Really? Be careful. Be ready for that when you say that. And be willing to just practice a life of surrender. That's my prayer for myself. I just want to live a life of surrender. And every day I just have to do that because when April runs stuff,
Yeah.
it ain't cute. It's liable to get messed up. But when I turn it over to God and I'm consistently in that stance, I've seen him do great things in my life. So give it a try. I mean, you ain't got nothing to lose.
Wow. What did you just? Well, you know, let me just say this because you really gave our audience a lot to think about. And as you were talking, you mentioned the word trust. Okay, you said I trust God to lead me in a direction, even though I don't know where He's leading me. A lot of women and even men, you can't trust who you don't know. Okay.
Ooh.
So if you may say, well, I believe in God, but if you don't know him, you're not going to trust him. But yet we put our trust in Ray Ray. We put our trust in guys that we really haven't earned our trust. And what we do, we lay on our back, ladies, and we surrender. I'm just saying. So we have to reevaluate the surrendering process. We have to reevaluate what type of outcomes are we expecting when we make a decision to surrender to either that situation or that person. And what you're saying in a nutshell is that you need to reroute your surrender plan
Yes.
And you need to look up instead of looking left and right and say,
Yes.
God, I surrender to you. Take care of me and my kids, like Miss Sharon is saying, and give me the provision that we're going to need, etc. Even though I don't feel it,
Right.
because surrendering is not about your emotions. It's about a commitment and a decision despite
Yeah.
how you feel, because your feelings are like roller coasters. You're going to just go all over the place with them.
Yep.
So surrender based on a commitment. Like people think that love is a feeling. No, love is a commitment. I love you when I don't feel like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's action.
I love you when I don't feel like it. I'm smiling when I don't feel like it. Why? Because I made a commitment through better work. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes.
So listen, everyone. Hopefully you have been able to glean from this particular session today. You know, we wasn't as, however we are, but it was good for you, because we want to make sure that you are fed some good nuggets so you can be prepared for the next show and the next session. And in addition, we want you to take advantage of some resources. If
Yes.
the resources are here for you, take advantage. At the Teen and Single Mothers Resource Center, we're providing GED, ESL, career development, resume writing, coaching. All of it is free for you. For you single moms who want this. We even have a college scholarship for $1,000 that we have right now available for you. If you visit our website, you'll go online, or if you visit our Facebook fan page, if you're not a fan, visit our Facebook fan page, Teen and Single Mom Resource Center, and it's easy to just send us an email and apply for the scholarship available to you. We have a fundraiser coming up,
Yes.
May 30th, here at Hingston Park in Waukegan, Illinois. It's a fitness fundathon. It is $20 donation. We're asking everyone in the community to come out, show up, support the effort of sending single moms back to school, mothers who need to take their GED test. You don't have the $120? We got you. If you work with us, we'll work with you. But you have to want the change. Like Sharon was saying, she wanted the change.
Yes.
She believed, even in the midst of her being in a negative situation, that she still had a brilliant mind.
Yes.
And that's powerful when you begin to speak life to yourself.
Yeah,
You
encourage
change
yourself.
encourage yourself. So we want to just close this show with, in terms of, with some good positive energy. No single mom left behind. We hope that you enjoyed our guests. We hope that you enjoyed our topic today. We will be back hopefully next month, okay?
Yeah.
And we're going to have another guest. We don't know who yet, but we're searching. We're searching.
We surrender.
Did we surrender?
We surrender.
We surrender our show. Listen, everyone. My name is Dr. Michele Vaughn,
Dr. April Stallworth.
and we are so happy to have you as our guest today, and we hopefully will see you back next month. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye.
Yeah, everything comes better in twos. We are coming on live to inspire you with years of training and experience. Be strong, work hard with diligence. Sit back, relax, let's have a great time and listen to the information we're about to unwind. Get up, get out, and always strive. Dr. MV speaks strong women, strong lives. Yeah.